Okay, welcome back. I wanted to talk about the art of forgiveness again, but I wanted to get deeper and talk about the foundation of it, and that is love, and learning what true love is. How many times have you told somebody, I love you, and then they did something that you didn't like, or you wasn't able to control their movements, and then you just took away that love, and a lot of times we take away love in situations is because we have not learned how to forgive one another. Lex, huh? How do you think about, what do you think about that in regards to forgiveness?
Forgiveness, number one, is supposed to be for you. It's not for, you forgive the other person, but sometimes you don't necessarily get a chance to talk to that person. There might be too much situations, like you might have an abusive situation where you got somebody that's, putting their hands on you, so you can't like physically talk to them and say, hey, I forgive you. But forgiveness is just you letting go of the hurt, the pain that person caused you, and trying to find some type of understanding within it. Like, just really looking at it from another perspective as if you were that person and saying, you know what, I can see that and I forgive you. So that's like forgiveness that people really don't kind of understand. They think it's just, I don't know what people think forgiveness is, but some people really don't forgive. They keep holding on to what happened for a very long time, and it starts destroying them internally. And then as far as love, love is like, I feel like it's, in some ways for people it's a feeling. Like, I just feel this way right now. I'm feeling this and it feels good and I feel bubbly and all of that. And then you have unconditional love, which is like love that you would give regardless of any condition. It's not because that person has money. It's not because, the sex is good. It's not because, that's your family and you feel obligated to love them. It's because that you truly have love for them and understanding for them in any type of situation. And your love will always be there. It's not going to get taken away just because something happens or they say something you don't like or they do something you don't like. You still love them and you still wish good for them.
Right. And then another big thing I think that we forget about when forgiving people is a lot of times that's for ourselves. Like the reason why it's so hard to forgive somebody else is because usually that person that doesn't forgive is very critical of their own self. So when they're using that same critical eye on you that they use on themselves, and they don't cut themselves any slack, so they're not trying to cut you any slack. And so even Black Nicosi said that there's a difference between lust and love, and that is true. In lustful situations, you don't forgive. Why? Because you have no vested. Your heart is not vested in that situation. You just could walk away, and it's like, see you when I see you. But when your heart is, you look for ways to forgive a person, like a child. When your child does something that you feel is unsavory, you're going to reprimand them. It's not going to be like, oh, everything is perfect, but you still love them and you're going to nurture them so they don't make those same mistakes. Why don't we do that in relationships, though? How come
that reprimanding from you? When you reprimand your child, you're doing that because you do love them.
Right.
If you didn't care, then you wouldn't say nothing.
Right. And why?
So I think that's like the perception. Like when people are in relationships, they should perceive, instead of perceiving me saying, "Hey, I don't like this," as like all hell breaking loose. Just perceive it and say, "Okay, what can I learn from this? How can I fix it and fix it so that we can move forward and just be better?"
Right. And that's the missing element. And even if you look at the male-female struggle right now, right? The problem that we're having is because there's so much anger and there's so much, I just read, Black Nicosi said, because it's very easy to run rather than to build and deal with something. Actually, to me, it's not easier for me to run and then to build and deal with something. Because when you run from a situation and you're not dealing with it right then and there, it's still going to be waiting for you, and you're still going to have extra situations that piled on because of that. Like, I'm going to give you an example. I had to, in order for me to be where I am today, I didn't have to just heal my last relationship. I had to go back into every single relationship that did not work out and see what the pattern was and see where the real healing needed to take place at. A lot of people don't do that. They'll just leave one bad situation and then while their leg is in another, step onto another. That's not fair to anyone involved. Because you're taking all that dysfunction, all that baggage, and all that stuff that you carried on from your previous relationship, and you're dumping it on the new person's plate and tell them that they have to deal with it. No, you deal with that. That is your baggage, and you should have dealt with that before you started interacting with other people. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. A lot of people don't know how to tell people, stop. Now is not the time in my life. Right now, I'm not trying to entertain anybody. Right now, I'm working on healing and fixing me. Like, I have no problem saying that to people. Like, I'll tell a person that, very quickly because I've learned to. There was a time where I wasn't like this. You know what I mean? There was a time where it's like, what? See you when to see you.
Those are called Band-Aids.
Right. Rebound relationships, Band-Aids. In the meantime, they got all of those names.
Between time.
Right, for the same dysfunction. You need to get with yourself so you can heal before you start bringing that dysfunction to other people. And that's
some people know that they wouldn't date themselves.
Exactly. Like, how can
you want to be with you?
Right. So if you can't even look at yourself as somebody that you want to date, you don't need to be dating. You need to sit down and fall back until you become the person that you want to date. And it's hard for people to come to that conclusion. And that's the only way we're gonna stop this vicious pattern of passing hate on and hate. You've been screwed.
How do people get there now? Because now you have men and women that have broken relationships. They have children from these broken relationships, and or some of our men and women, they died in the field. So it's like, how do these people now build, still having community, unity? Because we've been talking about, especially for our sisters, like how it's just so hard for them to have stability, to, have a roof over their head, to have, they have all these worries. Like, and I'm sure brothers have a bunch of worries. They don't have any comforts and stuff like that. So how are you able to still build, knowing that, you might not be ready for a relationship, but you still need that nurturing, you still need that protection, you still need that support. How does that happen?
Well, I can only speak for myself and what I did in that scenario, or what I'm currently doing. Not for nothing, I had to rely on my sisters, because a lot of times, like, men seem to have ulterior motives. Like, you can come to them and you have no intentions on having any relationship with them whatsoever, and then they don't want to help you, like, as a brother and sister thing. I have people that I can call my brother and my sister, but it's been my sisters who's rallied around me, like, through the last trials and tribulations that I've gone through. And not to slight the men in this situation, because there was scenarios where only my brothers were able to hold me down. So I'm not even talking about that aspect of it, but I'm just talking about what it did for me. It helped me realize, it helped me gain self-love. You know what I mean? Because for a long time, only had, like, at any given time, there's only one female friend that I normally have that I talk to every single day. But I do have a bunch of them from, throughout my journeys that I hold dear to me. It's that we'll connect at certain times and then disconnect and connect, but the love is still there. But that core sister group came around me and supported me through this. So I think that's important, like building, because like men seem to have that brotherhood. Like they'll hold each other down. They'll lie for each other. They'll, as far as the negative aspect, they'll do whatever to support each other. But women, we didn't have that same type of cohesiveness. So I started, instead of building on our differences, we started connecting on our similarities. And then we realized that we were all basically on the same wavelength as far as how we wanted to live out our culture and different things like that. So we just converged. But beyond that, I think that men and women need to come together. Like that same communication. Once we build that sisterhood and we can trust our sisters, like meaning trust in the sense of I can be around you with my husband and not feel like I have to be threatened. That type of trust. See, women don't have that level of trust, and men don't have that level of trust amongst each other either. Men are not comfortable leaving their woman around in a room with other men. That's a problem. Like, that's a serious problem.
You should be able to call, if your neighbor is a guy, you should be able to call on him. Or, like, if your car is messed up, you should be able to call my husband if you don't have a man and say, hey, my car is jacked up, and I know you know how to fix cars. Like, and he should be able to go over there and fix your car and just fix your car and come on back home. It shouldn't be no extra involved in that. It should be community.
Right.
But no, I agree. I feel like I know some brothers. I mean, I don't know them on like no deep level like that, but I feel like I do have some people that I know that I could call just specifically for that I feel like wouldn't try anything.
Right. Right. But my thing is, as long as they keep that in their head and they don't act on it, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like everybody has an attraction to people. It's normal for you to find certain people attractive. Okay. But when it's wrong when someone can't feel comfortable leaving their significant other in a room with you. You know what I'm trying to say? As an individual, I would have to really question and evaluate that scenario. Like, what's going on in that scenario? And a lot of times, it's certain people just sometimes throw themselves at you, and you're not even interested. And you're like, no, I'm not interested. And then they're still like, oh, yes, you are. You must want this. No, I don't. No, thank you. You know what I'm saying?
What's wrong with you?
Right. We're not on that page, and it's just like, how do you find, like, what do you do in that scenario? Like, how is it possible for men to actually, have a relationship?
I always laugh. And I think when I get uncomfortable, I laugh. So it's like, that's the worst thing I feel to do because it's not an answer, but it's like, that's the only thing I know how to do because I'm so uncomfortable. I'll be like, oh my God, like, please stop. Don't say it anymore.
Right. But we need these answers because if we don't have these, we really can't build. Like, we really can't build. Like, I'm tired of being in scenarios like that, and to me, I was blaming it on their friends. Like, yo, what kind of friends that you have that you feel that you're not comfortable with me being around them? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, and even, it don't matter what type of friends you have. Do you know the person you're dealing with? Like, you shouldn't have that type of...
That's the main thing. Like, if you can trust, and that's how I feel. Like, if I trust my man, then it's like, whatever. I know he's going to go around, some stuff could happen, but I trust him.
Right.
But, it should just be like a respect. I think we just lost respect as a society where, like, if somebody says that they're with somebody, like, respect that. And just don't even try to holler at them.
Right.
And then if there's a situation where, like, they like third-party situations or whatever, however they get down, they will let you know, or she will let you know, or he'll let you know. However the chain of command in that house goes, like that's, you'll know. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to just be reaching.
Right.
People just be reaching sometimes for no reason because they operating in that root chakra.
Right.
Or that you know, that sacral popping. They passion jumping. They trying to get it popping.
And that is like a problem that I had to endure. Like, I like helping people. You know me very well. I like helping people. And then it's like some people take help as though it's like a come on or it's an advance. No, I'm just simply helping you because you look like you need help. Nothing more, nothing less. You know, and but it makes you think what is going on in their mind that they feel like they got to throw themselves at everyone who lends them a hand. That's prostitution. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they're used to being prostitutes. Maybe they're used to prostituting themselves out and getting things because of, their physical makeup or, you get them to say or whatever, and that's all they know. But when they come across somebody that's not on it like that, then that's when you hear all the fireworks. You know what I'm saying? You see all the things pop out. But we have to.
Sometimes it could be insecurity too. Just not really having the affection. Like I said, I feel like that's like wanted and needed by a lot of people. And just understand like that nurturing comes in all forms. It doesn't always have to be like physical or like we're together type thing. Like, I could give a stranger a hug and it come from a good place, and that's nurturing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to just be all the way that we think physical is just sex or just kissing or just like taking somebody's man or taking somebody's woman. Like that, it doesn't have to be that way. But a lot of people have like insecurities and they're lacking certain parts of their life. So, and I think you're right that some people do they feel like an exchange is to give themselves to somebody else because they did something for them. But I think too, with some people, it's just insecurity and a lack, like they're missing something in their lives and they're trying to fill a void. And so, they'll fill the void however they want to. Because, I knew somebody like that, like, they would throw themselves at people because they were trying to feel better about themselves and things that had gone on with them. And, it was just an insecurity thing, like that just made them feel secure, I guess, at the time. But,
Right. And this goes back to parenting, too. Because how many times do you have scenarios where you have a child who, is lacking that? You know what I mean? If they're not getting that as a child when they're young, if they're not getting that love, and they grew up in a tough love environment, that's what they're going to perpetuate in all of their relationships. You know what I mean? So it's like, this is also a wake-up call to parents. Like, how many mothers hug their sons after they turn like 6, 7 years old? You know what I'm trying to say? There's not that many. Because
I get kissed on mine all the time. He be running.
Yeah, but how many don't? You know what I'm trying to say? If you look around, like, and then you'll see and then society makes it look like it's wrong. Because little boys get to that age where it's like, Mom, don't hug me no more. Don't kiss me. You know what I'm going to say? And stuff like that. But that is based on society. I don't want the kids in school to call me this and that and the third. Like, why is hugging and saying peace and saying I love you turn to something so perverse? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, we can't even have that bond because people they take advantage of that. You know what I mean? And we need to find a way where being cordial and nice does not equate to me trying to holler at you or me trying to talk to you or get in your pants. It just means have a nice day.
Just being nice.
Right.
It's called being courteous and considerate, compassionate. Like, those things just have to come back.
Right.
And I think it's just slowly but surely, like, the more you meet people, because I meet strangers all the time. Every day I'm talking to new people. And, I think that's my goal in talking to them is just, like, letting people know that there's compassion. And because of that, like, when I needed help, especially when I go to Home Depot and stuff, people be running to help me do stuff, and it's just that. And I have felt so good about that because, it's mostly men that hang out at Home Depot. None of these men wanted anything from me.
Right.
All they wanted, to do was to help me. And two, I think that was my mindset as well. Like, I came in there to do business and get stuff done. I didn't have that mindset too. Maybe sometimes as women, we have to see if we're subconsciously, like, putting out attractors or feeling like I hope somebody flirts with me, or there's some type of insecurity within that we might have that wants that, because that may be another reason why you're attracting it or why it is attracted. Because just thinking about that situation, like, I was able to get, I've been able lately to have, like, some nice help from people that don't want nothing from me, just genuinely help me, and I feel like it's just a return of, like, what I've been doing.
See, I thought that, like, I would think like that, but those scenarios, it just, you think they're like that, and my mindset was like that, then find out when my man is not around that people have ulterior motives. Now, you think everything is all good and good. I'm going to help you, da-da-da-da-da. But as soon as the cat's away, the mice want to play. And those are the type of scenarios that I'm talking about. That's not fair and that's not right. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, if someone, like, I don't know. I just think that you should be who you are if my man is there or not. You know what I'm trying to say? It should be the same type of interaction. And just like if you went into Home Depot with your spouse, that's how I want to feel alone. And it's just like it just goes beyond that sometimes, and that don't even be your intent. So I find myself when that happens, you have to put those brakes on the people. Like, all right, fall back. This is not what this is. This is where I'm trying to head. This is where I'm going. My focus is not on that. And it takes a lot of redirection. You know what I'm trying to say? And
yeah, so that's like there's two people that goes back to what you were saying. Like, if somebody comes in my house, they know that I'm married, they try to holler at my husband behind my back, then yeah, you don't need to come around no more. But he should have made it very known to you that, number one, it was wrong. Two, you're not welcome in the house no more. And, address it with me either right then or, address it after and let me know, like, this is what's going on. And this person,
Right.
But then, like I said, sometimes these days people be into, they have their door open for different things. So if that's the case, then, like I said, just follow the right protocol or the chain of command on whoever you feel you need to talk to for that type of situation.
Right.
But, it's up to your spouse to put their foot down and be like, no, this is who I love, this is who I'm with. You should respect that.
Right.
And if you can't respect it, then you don't need to come around.
Right.
And it's up to them to kind of put their foot down. And if not, then it's like insecurity issues on both sides at that point. Like, everybody insecure. You ain't secure in this relationship. The person who's trying to holler, they ain't secure. They ain't a good friend. Like, because it's a principle and stuff too. Like, your principles, well, morals and values rather, like, those should still be intact. But a lot of people don't have no kind of morals and values. Everybody's like, real free spirited and do whatever they want to do. Like, it ain't no universal laws in effect.
And that's a problem, the biggest problem. Because it's like, if people were equally yoked with like minds, like, one issue I have, polygamists, leave those that are into monogamy alone. Like, why do polygamists want to prey on monogamous people? I don't understand that. Or why do monogamous people want to trap a polygamous person? Let those people go with amongst their people. You know what I'm trying to say at the end of the day? Like, stop it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a problem with anything. Like if that's what floats your boat, I'm a person. I'm gonna respect your journey as long as your journey is not hindering anyone else's. But this is the hindering the other people's journey part. You cannot fake the funk of who you are. Be who you are in your relationships. And then forgiveness will come easier because people will already know and what to expect. It's that switch up stuff that people do because they're not honest in their relationships that things fall to the wayside. Like, some people get into polygamy because they basically are, just what's the best word that I'm looking for this? They just want to be pampered. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to contribute. They don't want to build nothing. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They don't want to really add on to the cipher. They just want to see what they could get out of it. You know what I mean? That's not polygamy. Those lazy people need to get when y'all chill together. Like everybody needs to find a tribe and chill with that tribe. And then we won't have all of these issues that we have. And it's just like when you're trying to force your life, like I love that Maxwell song, guys. And that song, like if you listen to the lyrics, that's what people do. When you're lying to your mate and you're not being honest about who you are and your true intentions are, guess what? That's you playing creator over their life. You taking away choices and options that they're entitled to. You know what I mean? That's not right. Like, who you are. You want people to respect you for you, then be you. Stop being afraid to be you. I'm only going to be me around my boys. But as soon as I get home, I'm going to not be me no more. What? That's crazy. Or vice versa. I'm only going to be me at home, but when I get around my dudes, I'm going to act like a heathen. No, like whoever you are, be that all the time. Be who you are. Stop being a chameleon based on the people that you're around. And
I personally am a one-woman multitude. So you going to get a high anyway.
So this somebody said 75, God Moon said 75 to 90% of men who claim polygamy wouldn't do it if their multiple queens were polygamous. I don't know what he means by that. You gonna have
maybe if we had husbands,
polyandry.
Polyandry wouldn't do it.
I don't know. I don't know if he's talking about polyandry. If they were polyandrous, maybe that's what. But when he responds, I'll tell you what he says if he responds. But and then Mott said that lying to yourself is worse. And
that's worse than anything. Like if you gotta change who you are to be with somebody, then that ain't who you need to be with.
Right. Unless you're changing yourself for your husband. Now, if I was like say if I was drugs in the street, right? And then I get with somebody who's teaching me about business, and all I gotta do is change my product. I'm making changes, but I'm still not changing who I am because at the end of the day, I'm a business person. You get what I'm trying to say? So if a person is coming along to help you enhance your natural gifts and talent, that's a different story. But if
that's what you want to do, then yes.
Right.
Then that's changing for the better. But you got to do that.
For yourself.
If somebody's forcing you, if somebody's forcing you, then it's just nothing can be forced. Like, no matter how hard you try to put it together, it's not going to come together right.
Right, and they'll go back to their old ways. You know what I mean? Like, I've noticed that people that have been through my schools of thought, when information was forced on them, as soon as they distanced themselves from it, they just went back to their regular lifestyle. Why? Because it was being forced. It wasn't organic. They wasn't growing in it, and it wasn't meshing with them the way it was supposed to. You know what I mean? And that's the only that's the only time that happens. So we have to be mindful of that. And then to get back to the original topic, this forgiveness thing, you know how hard it was? I didn't learn to forgive until I learned how to love. Once I learned how to really open myself up to love, like fully open up to love, that's when I learned the art of forgiveness, and I never, cause when my heart was closed off, I could not forgive. I was holding on to baggage. I was holding on to grudges. I was holding on to past hurts that people have done to me, like years away. And then, just because I was the type of person that when traumatic happened to me, I suppress it and just bury it, and then like pretend that it didn't exist. But now that I'm older and have been given the opportunity to go back and reflect on all of the situations that have plagued me throughout my life. And once I did, and look, when you're doing this, and this is an exercise that I gave to one of my clients yesterday. When you're doing this and you're going back and you're thinking about all of these past hurts, you have to hug yourself. Like when you feel that pain, tight. I mean, when I say hug yourself tight, I mean hug yourself like tight, till you feel that pain being released at the time that you're hugging yourself. I promise you, if you do this, you'll see what I'm talking about, and it is very therapeutic. You know what I mean? And I do this every now and then. Like if I'm having a pessimistic thought or something negative, I do it. I hug myself. Or if I'm thinking about something that hurts me or something that did hurt me, I hug myself like that, and it really works. And one of my clients, I had her do that yesterday, and she was like, "Oh my God, that was so therapeutic. It really does work." So we have to learn as a people, before we forgive others, we got to learn to forgive ourselves. And that exercise that I just gave you is part of what we do in learning to forgive ourselves. You have to go back and think about mistakes you made, because this is the easiest way to forgive yourself. Don't keep the pain, keep the wisdom obtained. Okay, yep. I'll say that again. Don't keep the pain, keep the wisdom obtained. When you do that,
I was just gonna add to that and just say that the lessons are more valuable, you know what I'm saying, than the pain that you went through. Like when you think, it makes me think about Shaolin monks. They go through the worst stuff. Like that process of becoming a Shaolin monk is such a tedious and strenuous process. Like that's not for the faint of heart.
Right.
Like they walking on like spikes and fire, and it's a bunch of mind over matter. It's a bunch of just trials that they have to go through to become greater.
Right.
And so you got to look at all of those small incidences of what would be called quote unquote hurt, and look at how it grew you and made you greater. And then, also I wanted to add that rose quartz is very good for self-love. Mm-hmm. It really helps to heal the heart chakra and really open that up. So that's another thing. If people are into crystals and they could get rose quartz, they can get bracelets or a necklace made out of rose quartz. They even have rose quartz hearts. So it lets you know, it reminds you that is for opening your heart chakra, and that is specifically, rose quartz has a lot of other properties as well, but it specifically helps with self-love and loving yourself, and it's a good reminder of how you should treat yourself, because it's a beautiful stone.
Yeah, and one of my sisters, anybody, you can inbox me. They make chakra jewelry, and I can, if you need any jewelry or any stones and crystals that will help balance out your chakra, inbox us, me or Lex Lou, and we could get you that information of where you need to go to get the crystals. But the crystals, I can attest to that, because I got crystals on happenstance. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was at the zoo and with the kids. I took the kids to the zoo. And you know how they have the little gift shop. So I went to gift shop, and the amethyst, the pink quartz, and the clear quartz called out to me. And that's what I purchased. And when I tell you, though, just with those 3 stones, how my whole life has changed from that moment that I bought those crystals, like so much has opened up for me. And I know people make jokes and fun about oh, people think this does that. If it don't work for you, it's not for you. Not you got to find what works for you, because we all have individual things that work for us. Like, for instance, kryptonite hurt Superman. You know what I'm saying? But not anybody else. So, like, that shows you that there are certain crystals that resonate with some people, with some weaken them, some make them strong. You know you. Pick what the path is for you. But don't try to tell anybody that what's working for them doesn't work. Like, some people need religion. Let them have their religion. You know, if it's making them a better person and it's keeping them on an up and up, let them have it. Like, it seems like I hate, like, when people wake up to the level of consciousness, they think that everybody is the same cell in the body as them. No, you are that cell, they are that cell. Let that cell do what it needs to do to get to where it needs to be. Like, everything else lets you be with, so you can get to where you want to be. You know, because there's a lot of times they get on that, you know, that self-righteous attitude, like, since I got this knowledge, all y'all, everybody else, you know, and then meanwhile, they health feeling and they doing all this other stuff. No, your knowledge mixes with my knowledge, and we all bring this together so we can all learn something together, you know. And a lot of people, amethyst does have powerful healing properties. God Moon talks about that, and let me see what else he's saying. Let me scroll back. Let's see, reading us. So somebody says, let us pray for this young sister. And then someone says, forgiving the world around you is easier. God Moon says, forgiving the world around you is easier often than forgiving yourself. We have to do both. Then let's see. And then I don't God Moon, what greatly enhances your Taurus field? Were you talking about the rose quartz or the amethyst? Comment you know what you were referencing. I was just trying to make sure I got all the comments in. But when you do that, the rose quartz. He's talking about the rose quartz. He was talking about the rose quartz. I believe that. I do. I see that. And the rose quartz I was telling you about. So I took the kids on a trip, and then I got the rose quartz. And this was a time where I needed to learn how to forgive. So I'm glad that you brought this into the equation, right? At this point, I was feeling so much hatred, anger, animosity, betrayal, like any of those range of emotions that fall on that frequency, I was feeling. I got the rose quartz. The next day, the same person that I felt like that for, I did not feel like that. I started looking at all the good that they brought to my life, and the little negative stuff didn't even matter anymore. That's how powerful rose quartz is. And I'm a living testament for it. And me, like, when I get angry, having a Mars and Venus in Aries, I'm angry. But for that rose quartz to be able to calm me down, like, and I was good, you know what I'm saying? That's why I am where I am right now. Because the place where I was a few months back is nowhere where I am right now, you know, and I had to grow beyond that. And then once I gained all of those tools and learned how to snap back, that's why I decided to, you know, that saying, whom much is given, much is required. Well, that's why I started these services and helping people, and, you know, because I had to give back what I learned, you know, and that's the biggest lesson: forgiveness. Rose quartz, it helps you find that. The amethyst and the clear quartz opened up my mind so I can see why I needed to forgive. You know what I'm saying? And where did all of this stem from? Because a lot of stuff we go through in this lifetime, not for nothing, has to deal with people that had came here before us. You know, we're dealing with generational karmic stuff that's going on, and we're here to clean it up. Part of us that's here created this problem. The other half is here to clean it up. But at the end of the day, in order for us to do that, it starts with loving yourself and forgiving yourself. You know, honoring you. Because if you, like in the beginning of the talk, Lex, when he was talking about Will you date yourself? Ask that question. Would you date yourself? Like, why would you date you? So that's what I want y'all to do. Like, I want y'all to inbox me. I really want y'all to inbox me. Inbox me, why would you date yourself? So I'm going to see who's here right now. Andre, Gadamoon, Maat, Steven, let's see. So Florencia, Azim, Keith, Devlinix, let's see. Jaywan, Black. I want y'all to all inbox me if you would date yourself.
Date yourself.
And why?
What's so special about you?
Yeah. And then, you know what? Another one of my friends, he had this dope idea. I'm about to tag him in here. He had this dope idea. Oh, what's that her? That was Kima. I'm sorry. That was Kima. That was Kima who did that. I'm about to tag her. Kima, I just tagged her. Kima had this idea, and I thought it was so dope. Kima had this idea where people are writing love letters to themselves. That's even better. I like that idea. You know what I mean? Like,
that's beautiful too.
Right.
We did that in a conference.
Right. Oh, you did?
That helps with communication skills. Like, say something to somebody that you've always wanted to say something to. Say something that you probably wouldn't just say to somebody out loud, and then it would say something to yourself.
Right.
What would you say to yourself? And it lets you know like how you communicate. Like when you write it down on paper and you see, the way that you think, it lets you know like maybe how you're communicating with other people.
Right.
If you're like,
harsh,
filtering, like refining, not to say filter, but just refining the things that you say, and even to yourself. Like, do you really hate yourself? Like, do you dislike yourself? I know I went through a lot of self-love issues, even this year, just learning how to love myself even more. Crystals help, meditation help, having good friends help, because it's just all growth, and then being able to recognize lessons when I see them. Like, everything is a lesson, and once I realized that, that's when my whole life got better, because I didn't look at things as good or bad. I looked at things as a lesson, or, what people would consider a blessing. I don't say blessing, I say more abundance in my life. So right. It's either a lesson or it's abundant. It's adding to my life in a different way. Because the lesson is adding to it as well. It's adding to the growth that I need to make.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, people definitely need to write a beautiful letter to themselves.
Right. I thought that was a great idea. And I'm going to, you know what? I want to do that more often. Like, I think I want to write myself a letter once a week. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to try that out and just like a recap of how my week has gone and just do that and see how that went. And I might put it in a book. You know what I'm saying? Might be in one of my next books. Who knows? But because I am working on the second book right now, my When Love Speaks series. And this one, the first one, Lessons in Life and Love. This one is called When Love Speaks, the Art of Forgiveness. So that's with another theme. And I'm also working on my affirmation book. So both of those will be done, I'll say definitely by December. I'm trying to have them done so they could be, I don't subscribe to the season, but stocking stuffers, or people tend to have extra money around that time of year to purchase things and share things with their loved ones. I'm not going to knock people for whatever their celebratory practices are, but I'm just trying to get it done. Really, I want the Love Speaks one to be done before Libra season is over. I really wanted to market it during Libra season. And that's right around the corner. It still might happen, because how I work, like my last book, I created that last book I wrote. It took me a day and a half to do it. And of course I had most of the poems already, like I do now. But I'm just saying, as far as putting it all together, so it could still happen. for that time. But I'm working on that book because, like, and I'm going to start sharing more. Like, you know what? Right now, I'm going to share some poetry with y'all. Richie, I love that I got the opportunity to start writing my new book. Okay. Okay, this one is called, I don't know if I read this poem before. Okay, this one is called No More Tears. Sometimes you have to disconnect to allow people the time to love themselves as much as you love them. And although it is a hard thing to do, it must be done. You have your memories of the fun times you share, but the lingering memories of the bad times are still there. With hopes of new happy memories replacing the despair, realizing that you have to walk away battered and torn with a little care left in you. You try again. Although it was a battle to the death, so it seemed, but the hope of tomorrow still gleamed in your heart. There appeared the ravens with remnants of your heart, the spark of the phoenix with Venus gazing on, singing her song of love. You look above and you feel the sun's beaming light, reminding you there will be no tears tonight. You gave a good fight, but the best is yet to come. You can get there. There's so much left to be done in life. So disconnect from the pity parties. Say sorry to yourself. Safeguard your inner wealth. Carry the wisdom attained and keep living. So this, this is along with that same theme of forgiveness, right? And this poem, it's untitled, but it says, like a phoenix, I rise from the ashes, acknowledging my wounds from the lashes I received on the way up. Still on my journey, burning the parts of me that no longer need to be, to rebirth a person the world has never ever seen before. All because I chose not to give up on me when I saw everyone else had. And I am glad because I really needed me to see how much I truly cared. I even dared my heart to love the loveless, and I realized I couldn't, or at least I thought I could not. But in the word impossible, it simply reads, I'm possible. So I saw it to be true. That is why I had to reform my circle into one which truly nurtures me. And at the time I was doing this, some even did it for me. And at the time where I was looking for signs, and then I began remembering the times I gave when I shouldn't, how when I thought I could, when I couldn't, learning my boundaries and limitations, taking a much needed mental vacation to get my life in order. Thinking if I'm living the life that I want my daughter to see and making changes accordingly, sometimes you have to realize that you made a mistake and choose another path. Take your time, don't move too fast. Use your intuition as your guide. Be careful who you confide in. Nobody can hurt you like those who you consider a friend. So choose wisely. These are the lessons, like what I'm telling you, these are the lessons that I learned to make me able to forgive people. Because it started with me fixing myself. Like this poem is called Crossroads. Looking at my past, living my present, I fixated on the future. Reevaluating lessons learned, thinking about the stripes earned, realizing that I am enough. Although this life has been tough, I'm still climbing, reaching landings and not turning back, seeing my strength and what I lack, had karma to pay me back, and humbly I accepted the lesson that I'm no greater nor lesser than anyone else, healing my wounds from deciding to love too soon and choosing to love anyway, being betrayed by those that said they loved me, yet acknowledging how I have betrayed me too. Outer reflections of lower side of me and you. So with all this knowledge, what do? Well, I chose to revamp myself into someone new, someone that chooses to love unconditionally. But the first person I choose to try it on is me, knowing that everything I see was a reflection of not truly loving who I be. Worried that people wouldn't accept me, but really I needed to learn to accept myself. So in life, I went down many avenues to find the current boulevard I currently find myself on. With wisdom as my guide, I guide through life, free of judgment, full of humility, finally loving me completely this time. So yeah, but I wanted to say, huh?
Young King over here making tracks.
Okay.
I need to go live on my page.
All right. Well, I'm about to end this live session.
Thank you, sis, for letting me be part of your session.
We're gonna keep doing this, because we need to have these discussions, and so we're going to keep this going. And I'm working on some other platform right now for this to continue, so we can add on more people. Because I want our brothers to chime in. I want us to be able to have a discussion. I have an idea on how to make this work with everybody in the discussion. Anybody that wants to be in on our next discussion, make sure you inbox me, and I'm going to make sure it's set up so you can be on live with us and talk with us like we're doing right now. I know how to do it. All right.
And thanks everybody for watching and listening to the ghost voice.
Lex Lou. And all right, but this is a broadcasting of Unearthing of Truth. And I guess this is our first official broadcast, huh? Yeah, we did it.
And that poetry was free this time, people. Free. I'm the manager. So.
You're so silly. You silly. All right.
We're going to build up to an event for that soon. So.
Oh, we're going to have a whole Unearthing of Truth event. And we're going to have some guest speakers and everything. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. Because it's going to be, well, I won't say anything. I'll talk to you, Lex, about it. Let me end this broadcast, and I'm going to tell you about it.